guys! So over the months and years, quite a few of you have asked me for television show and film recommendations set in Antiquity. So I figured, hey, I've got a little bit of spare time, why not film that video now? This is by no means an exhaustive list of television shows and films set in Antiquity. I haven't seen nearly all of them. I've not seen a lot of the big films like Troy and Gladiator and 300. I haven't seen those, so I can't comment. I am quite particular about what I like set in Antiquity on my screens. You might see trends in what I recommend in this video, but these are all television shows I have watched, really enjoyed and would recommend to you, as well as a couple of films. So let's get into it, shall we? The first TV show on my list is my favourite out of everything I'll mention in this video, and it's one of my favourite television shows of all time, and that's Xena Warrior Princess. This is a show from the 1990s into the early 2000s, I believe, and I used to watch it when I was younger a little bit on television, and then as I got a little bit older I bought some of the DVD box sets and ended up, you know, watching it from beginning to end and falling in love with it, and then watching it like over and over and over again. Now, to mention this TV show I kind of need to mention its companion show, so I'm going to return to Xena Warrior Princess, but for the moment let's talk a little bit about Hercules, the Legendary Journeys. This is also from the 1990s and it stars Kevin Sorbo as Hercules, and he is joined by his companion Obelix, or his cousin, and it's set in ancient Greece predominantly, although they go all over the place, and it takes some of the original myths that Hercules is a part of, chucks some of them on their head, and every week you basically just follow Hercules on his journeys. One of the main antagonists in the show is Hera, his stepmother, who obviously causes him a lot of bother in the original myths, and it's inspired by those myths, but obviously to draw it out into many seasons of a TV show they add a lot more and obviously take a lot of liberties, but it's a lot of fun. And in one of those episodes appeared for the first time Xena Warrior Princess. In this she is most certainly the bad guy, and that is an indicator of her past. She then kind of finds redemption in later episodes, and she proved so popular with the public that they decided to make her own TV show. So Xena isn't actually a real mythological character or historical character, she is a creation from this TV show about Hercules, but throughout the television series of Xena, she encounters many mythological characters: Hercules, Odysseus, although I think he's called Ulysses in the show. She spends time with the Greek gods, particularly Ares, because she was a warrior princess and was responsible for a lot of fighting and battles until she kind of seeks out this redemption and decides she wants to make amends for all of the harm she caused in her past. And she is joined also by a companion called Gabrielle, who sees Xena as this inspirational woman and wishes to follow her and tell her stories to the world. And it's just a wonderful series. It is so out there. Like, in Xena's lifetime she meets both Odysseus, who if he was real would have been around in the 2nd millennium BC, and Julius Caesar, and a real character from Roman history, so it's really mashed up there. But I do think it's just a fantastic series, regardless of its historical merit. And I would recommend both Hercules, The Legendary Journeys and Xena Warrior Princess to all of you. It is definitely one of the things that got me into Antiquity as a kid, or then maybe I just loved it because I loved Antiquity. I don't know where those two lines blur, but love it. Probably my second favourite for television shows is a more recent series, and that is Plebs, which is an ITV TV series. I'm not sure if it has any more seasons coming up, but it's had maybe 2 or 3 seasons in the past, and this is a comedy sitcom series, so they're about half-an-hour episodes, and it follows 2 young guys in ancient Rome who share a flat kind of with one another, and their slave Grumio, who came from one of the young men's families, and they're by no means of the Roman elite. They work in a scribe house, I believe, writing things out, and it is hilarious and weirdly historically accurate. Obviously not entirely historically accurate, but it has a real basis in what Rome would have been like at the time. There's an episode about an erotic vase, and pretty accurate representation of what ancient erotic vases looked like. A lot of it has some historical merit, which I think is quite fun, but obviously it's also a little bit mad. It has been compared to the In-Betweeners, but set in ancient Rome, and I'm no great lover of the In-Betweeners. I think it's fine, but it's not a favourite of mine. I think Plebs is better. So that's what I would say for those of you that aren't necessarily In-Betweeners fans. It definitely has a bit of a British sense of humour though. It is a British TV show set in ancient Rome, but I do think it's really good. Although perhaps I'm less critical because I'm not a Roman historian, regardless, I still think it's fantastic and it makes me laugh out loud. The actor that plays Grumio as well is fantastic. Grumio is the best character. The next one is actually going back quite a few decades, and that is I, Claudius. This was filmed in the 1970s by the BBC, and it is an adaptation of a book by Robert Graves, who you may have heard of for his retellings of the Greek myths. And this one was adapted for the small screen. It stars some of my favourite actors of all time, including Patrick Stewart, who you may know better as Charles Xavier or as Captain Jean-Luc Picard. This is also quite a comedic series, and it follows the early Roman Empire being told from the perspective of an elderly Claudius, who did eventually become Emperor of Rome. Let me see if I can remember. It goes Augustus Tiberius Caligula Claudius, so he's the 4th Emperor of Rome. And if you've ever read any Roman history like Tacitus or Suetonius, you will know some of the outrageous gossip that went round about the Roman emperors and the Roman elite of the time and what was going on in the empire, and it basically brings that ridiculous gossip to life, obviously with some additions put in there. But it's a really interesting way to think about these ancient writers. It's a great TV series as well, I'd imagine, as a book. I haven't read the book. I'm starting to realise that a lot of my favourite TV shows are set in Rome, but I think that's also because there are more set in Rome, whether it be films or television shows, because I was also a fan of the TV series Rome, which is not a comedy. It's a very gritty drama that was set in ancient Rome, and once again kind of gave you a look at Roman history, and was a mixture of elite and ordinary Roman citizens and slaves and gladiators. You know, you got a wide span of people's lives, and if you like grittier dramas, this might be more your kind of thing. I've only ever watched that one once when it was originally on TV, so it's been a while since I watched it, but I did really enjoy it at the time. There are then a few films I'm a fan of classic ancient Hollywood films. Although I haven't seen tons of them, I do really like Jason and the Argonauts, which is an adaptation of the Argonautica, or Jason and the Golden Fleece, and it follows the hero Jason on his quest for the Golden Fleece with his shipmates on the ship the Argo, that's why they're called the Argonauts, and his meeting of the Princess Medea and them falling in love, and they also insert a few incidents into that. It doesn't tell the story exactly as the book does, it adds in a few things and changes things a little bit, but it's not an entirely inaccurate representation of the plot of the original story. And it was a really big film for its time. The special effects were incredible. There's these animated skeletons in it that if you've seen it you'll remember, because, you know, it was a big deal at the time. They did a pretty good job, and I do think it's a really good film. It's a real like hero quest type thing, so I would recommend that one. Another one I do enjoy, although all of my friends act as if I don't, is Hercules, the Disney film. Now, the thing is, if I watch this and anybody watches it with me, there is something in me that physically will not allow me to not correct all of the mistakes in it, because it is riddled. It is so beyond inaccurate, and I can't help but point them out. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. I think you can do that to things you love. You can enjoy them and still say, well, it wasn't like that, or it wouldn't have been like that. I mean, Hera is not Hercules' mum. Why? Why did they need to change that? Regardless, I still think it's a great film. I think it's a lot of fun. I loved it when it originally came out, and I have watched it many times since, so if I didn't like it I wouldn't have watched it so many times. I also think the soundtrack is one of the best Disney film soundtracks there is. I used to really like the Disney show television show of the cartoon Hercules, which takes place before the film when Hercules is a teenager in school and he hangs out with his friends Icarus, the boy who flew into the sun, and Cassandra the seer. That was such a great TV show. And my last recommendation is a kind of looser one, and those are the Asterix and Obelix films. I am a huge fan of the Asterix comic books or graphic novels which follow two Gauls, Asterix and Obelix, during the time of Julius Caesar in Rome. They are the one Gaulish village that has yet to be taken by the Roman Empire, and they're very comedic. They're originally written in French and they're just a lot of fun, and a few of them have been adapted into films, which I do enjoy and would recommend. So those are my recommendations for television shows and films set in antiquity. Definitely a bit of a comical spin. I think I like when things are a bit tongue-in-cheek, but maybe I need to give a few more of them a chance. Top of the list is Fellini's Satyricon, which I tried to watch once and didn't manage to get into because it's so out there, but I will watch it. And if you do have any more recommendations, let me and everybody else know in the comments down below. Until next time guys, happy viewing, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!